Hello, this is Michelle Spatel, one of the Healthy Heart dietitians at St. Paul's Hospital. Thank you for joining me on this virtual grocery store tour, part 3. In this presentation, I will discuss what you should know about protein. We'll also talk about label reading for protein foods, sugar, and sodium, so you can pick up a product at the grocery store and determine how much protein, sugar, and sodium is in it. The power of protein. Protein is an essential nutrient for growth, maintenance, and repair of body tissues. Protein also helps to stabilize blood sugar levels and helps you to feel full. Too much or too little protein can be harmful to your health. The right balance is the key to good nutrition. What are protein foods? There are animal and plant sources. On the left, we have Healthy Heart animal sources such as fish, skinless poultry, beef, round or loin cuts, pork, skim or 1% milk, unsweetened lower fat yogurt, cottage cheese, less than 18% milk fat cheese, or eggs and egg whites. For yolks, try to limit it to 2 times a week. For plant sources, we have soy foods such as tofu, edamame, and tempeh, unsweetened soy beverages, legumes such as dried peas, beans, and lentils, nuts and seeds, and nut butters. What would tofu take the place of? Vegetables, fruit, dessert, or animal protein such as chicken, beef, or fish. Tofu is a good alternative for animal protein such as chicken, beef, or fish. For heart health, it's recommended to choose low-fat or lean animal proteins to limit your intake of saturated fat, but to also have plant proteins 1 or 2 times per week. So for tofu works well in stir fries and curries. It has a bland taste and takes on the taste of the sauce it's cooked in. If you don't know how to cook tofu, choose tofu as an alternate to meat when eating at Asian restaurants such as Thai restaurants. So how much protein do I need? In general, you need 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per kilogram. For example, if you weigh 68 kilograms or 150 pounds, you would need 54 to 68 grams of protein per day. Just take note that protein needs increase or decrease based on various activity levels and or health conditions. So talk to your dietitian about how much protein your body needs. What is a serving size of protein? 1 serving of protein provides 7 grams of protein. So a quick and easy tool to estimate a serving of protein is by using your hands. For lean meat, poultry, and fish, the palm of your hand is actually 3 servings of protein. So if you look at the palm of your hand with the thickness of the baby finger, a piece of meat that size is 3 servings of protein. For legumes is equivalent to the front of your closed fist. Nut butters and cheese are equivalent to 2 thumbs, and tofu or tempeh is equivalent to 3/4 of a fist. Now let's turn to label reading. It's important to look at the label so you know how much protein you are getting in the food you eat. When you pick up a package, first look at the serving size. So on this tofu package, we see that a serving size is 85 grams. Now just be aware that 85 grams is actually 1/4 of the package. because a whole package is 350 grams. So always compare the serving size with the actual amount that's in the package. Next, you want to look down to the protein. So protein, you're getting 14 grams, so 2 servings of protein in 85 grams of the tofu. So that's actually a very good source of protein. And you'll see here that tofu is very low in saturated fat. Now for eggs, at the top of the nutrition fact label, we see that 1 large egg is the serving size. And for protein, it's 6 grams, so 1 serving. Now, be aware that for cholesterol, we do want to aim for about 200 milligrams of cholesterol per day from our diet. And this is found in the egg yolk. About 195 milligrams is in the egg yolk. So having egg yolks 2 or 3 times a week is absolutely fine. But if you like to have eggs more often than that, you can choose egg whites, which have no cholesterol in it, and it's still a good source of protein, 7 grams. Now what about cheese? Cheese is an excellent source of protein. A 3 centimeter cube or 30 gram piece of cheese will give you 7 grams of protein. But cheese is also a high source of saturated fat. So we recommend choosing a lower milk fat cheese, ideally less than 20% milk fat. And if you look at the labels here and you compare them, a regular cheese will give you 6 grams of saturated fat or 32%, while the 19% or low fat cheese gives you 3.5 grams of saturated fat. So half the saturated fat, and actually more protein, 9 grams. So if you are a cheese lover, here's some options for you. Choose the low-fat cheeses, which are less than 20% milk fat. For 8 to 20% milk fat cheeses, you can consume a maximum of 2 to 3.5 ounces or 60 to 100 grams per week. And on the left side of the page here, you'll see some options. If you can find less than 8% milk fat cheese, you have an allowance of 1 ounce or 30 grams per day. So I encourage you to go out and look for these cheeses at the grocery store if you are a cheese lover. Beans and lentils, what do they provide? A, carbohydrate, B, protein, C, fiber, or D, all of the above? Beans and lentils provide all of the above. As you can see in this nutrition facts label for garbanzo beans, half a cup will give you 21 grams of carbohydrate, 5 grams of fiber, and 7 grams of protein. So that's an excellent source of all those nutrients. I encourage you to sprinkle beans and garbanzo beans onto salads. You can add them to your soups, stews, and curries for added fiber and protein. Now, what about meatless burgers? Are they just as healthy? There's lots of choices in the grocery store, so making sure that you read the label is very important. Let's compare a popular Beyond Meat burger with 100% beef burger. So 1 patty is the serving size for both, and 1 patty of the Beyond Meat burger is 6 grams of saturated fat or 30%, which is half the amount of a 100% beef burger, but it's still high in saturated fat. So if you're at a barbecue or you want to try a Beyond Meat burger, absolutely, it is a fair alternative, but just be aware that it isn't low in saturated fat and it still can increase your cholesterol. So in moderation, it's fine, but also being aware that it is higher in sodium. It's 390 milligrams or 16% versus 65 milligrams in the beef burger. So just in moderation, don't think that it's the best thing that you can replace all beef burgers with Beyond Meat burgers and not affect your cholesterol. It can have a good amount of iron, but it's still high in salt and still a high source of saturated fat. What is in the Beyond Burger? It does have a thumbs down for me because the product is mostly made of pea protein isolate and oil. It is not low in saturated fat. I would recommend choosing a veggie burger that is made of whole ingredients like beans or lentils, whole grains, and vegetables, or making a homemade version will be the most nutritious. Now, this is another popular veggie burger, Ives, the Good Veggie Burger. It has a thumbs up because it is low in calories, no saturated fat, it's high in protein, it gives you 13 grams, and it's high in iron and vitamin B12. But it is still moderate to high in sodium, and there is no whole ingredients in this burger. It is primarily made of texturized soy protein. So let's see what other options are out there. Morningstar Farm Spicy Black Bean Burger. This has a thumbs up because it has whole ingredients, high fiber, low in saturated fat, and high in protein. Just watch that it is high in sodium, but it's still a good option. Eve's Lentil and Quinoa Patties. This has whole ingredients. You'll find that the first couple of ingredients is lentils, quinoa, water, bulgur wheat, and brown rice. It's low in fat. It's only 2% saturated fat. It's moderate in sodium, and it's high in fiber, and it's moderate in protein. So that's a good source. The take-home message on meatless alternatives: choose minimally processed meat alternatives. Aim for products predominantly made with beans, lentils, tempeh, and tofu, and that use herbs and spices for flavor. Look for fat and salt on nutrition facts labels. And to reduce overall meat intake, try making smaller amounts of meat go further by adding oatmeal, spices, egg, sauteed mushrooms, and onions to any meat mixture for an increase in the fiber, vitamins, and minerals of any burger. Now let's look at sugar. When you see 4 grams of sugar on a label, it is equal to A, 2 teaspoons of sugar, B, 1 teaspoon of sugar, C, 1 tablespoon of sugar, or D, none of the above. The answer is B, 1 teaspoon of sugar is the equivalent to 4 grams, or a cube of sugar, or a package of sugar. It's important to know the amount of teaspoons teaspoons of sugar in something, because we want to limit simple sugars and refined carbohydrates to 6 teaspoons for women and 9 to 10 teaspoons for men. If you look here at a can of Coca-Cola, which is 110 calories, it provides 7 teaspoons of sugar. For a Starbucks flavored coffee, that has 370 calories or 9 teaspoons of sugar. A box of juice has 162 calories or 10 teaspoons of sugar. And a coffee from Tim Hortons has 4.5 teaspoons of sugar. So again, for women, limit simple sugars and refined carbohydrates to 100 calories a day, which is less than 25 grams or 6 teaspoons. And for men, 150 calories a day for men, which is less than 37.5 grams or 9 to 10 teaspoons. On the topic of sodium, intake of sodium should not exceed 2,300 milligrams a day. B, 1 teaspoon of salt contains 2,300 milligrams of sodium. C, if a label shows more than 20% daily value, it is considered high in sodium. Or D, all of the above. Which is true? All of the above. It's important to know that the intake of sodium should not exceed 2,300 milligrams a day. So if you read the labels, add up how much sodium you are actually consuming and try not to exceed 2,300 milligrams a day. Also, 1 teaspoon of salt contains 2,300 milligrams of sodium. So if you're baking and you want to make sure that you're aware of how many teaspoons of salt the recipe calls for, because 1 teaspoon of salt contains 2,300 milligrams of sodium. And if a label shows more than 20% daily value, it is considered high in sodium. So look for that percentage of daily value. Thank you for your time, and I hope you found this educational and enjoyable.